Hello, and welcome to the Albright Scholar for October 2022. My name is John Pankratz. I teach history at Albright, and each month it's my privilege to welcome BCTV viewers and residents of Greater Reading to take a glimpse inside our learning community up on North 13th Street, to look at the work being done by teachers and students, and to think about its impact on all of us. Well, believe it or not, we have almost reached midterm time at Albright, and it is getting serious. Students are overwhelmed by the reality of college life, by the reality of midterm exams and term papers and that sort of thing. So I thought it might be a good chance to talk not about reality, but about virtual reality and augmented reality and all the wonderful things that computers can do in rearranging our thought processes and our enjoyment of life. So I'm very happy to welcome to the program tonight Dave Call, who's a brand new professor at Albright College of both computer science and art. And we're going to bring out some toys, but we're also going to talk about teaching these essential digital skills in the modern day. Dave, welcome to the show.
Thanks, John. I have to say that was a pretty good introduction, better than I thought anybody would do, and glad to be here.
Great.
So
great. Anybody who works in this field doesn't simply do it in the classroom. They have to work in the field, and I know that you bring with you not only teaching experience to Albright, but also a lot of work in industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've been coding and programming since you had your first Radio Shack computer.
Oh yeah, you read that, yeah. Radio Shack, it was a Trash 80 color computer, TRS 80.
Great.
With the old school TV, you know, you had to switch it to UHF on channel 13 so you get the least amount of disturbance there. So
that is old school. Well, I'm pretty old school as well. I remember the faculty meeting when the idea of the internet and Albright's connection to the internet was first introduced.
Yeah, no. Yeah, like I remember Bill Gates back in 1995 said the internet's going to control everything, and nobody really believed him. But now, I think he turned out to be right.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
everything else.
I guess we have to admit it.
Hey, you know, it's a special day. It's Columbus Day, and I know that you're a history professor.
Right,
so
right.
I'm sure that's kind of something you probably talked about in class too, right?
We do talk about that, and I asked whether it should be Columbus Day or whether it should be Indigenous Persons Day, right? Folks didn't sit here saying, "Oh my God, I wish somebody would come over and discover us." They were living their own lives before he intruded. But yeah, it's an interesting holiday in the American liturgical year, as it were. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So tell me, your education and your degrees are in the field of what? Digital graphics and art?
Media art, yeah. It's a combination of art and tech.
Yeah.
And when I started out, I interned at George Lucas's special effects company, Industrial Light and Magic.
Yeah.
They had just come out with Jurassic Park, which was really amazing. And after that, I interned at Metrolight Studios. They had an Oscar for Total Recall, and that was in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And even back then, the traffic was insane, even back then. And I don't know what it'd be like now, but that was a long time ago. One of the things I worked on there was this colorful piece here, the Mask CD-ROM. And I'm going to date myself. It is from the 1900s, 1994, back when you could...
CD-ROMs, I remember those, yes.
Yep, back when you get software in a box, which I thought was pretty sweet. I like this box software.
But it's still wrapped in plastic, Dave.
Yeah, I've got a working copy, and this one I will never, ever take off the shrink wrap because it is so special to me. It's my first game I worked on.
Yeah.
And
so you had to digitize Jim Carrey.
Yeah, basically we did that. Yep, and this was a fun project. Gives me warm feelings even now.
Great. Now, had you already done your BS and your MFA, or?
This was when I was interning, right when I was doing my MFA.
Okay.
So that was between the first and second year of the MFA.
Great, great. And you did that at the Ohio State University?
The Ohio State
Oh,
University.
I always say, I'm from Toledo, so I know that we have to use the article.
Ohio State. Yeah. After that, after I got my degree, the second thing I worked on was Fisher-Price. This is the all-in-one toy adventures, and I did some modeling with some software called Alias, and we modeled this. It's kind of like a Russian nesting doll toy. You've got
What fun.
the scuba guy goes in the scuba suit, then which goes into the shark, which goes into the submarine. You can see a bunch of these videos. It's davecall.com. That's my my only plug for my website.
Okay, that's great.
And here's another version I worked on. This was the space suit. And here you have an alien, which we modeled, and that was kind of fun over there.
Is that an alien?
Yeah, it's actually
Oh, it is,
alien.
isn't it?
Yeah.
He looks, for a second from the side, he looks like the robot on Lost in Space.
Oh, yeah, it sure does. Hadn't thought about that. Yeah, this was some fun stuff back in the 90s working at Fisher-Price. It was a fun time.
Great. That's an interesting transition for that company because, of course, they worked in the world of concrete toys rather than the digital hybrid kind of universe.
Yeah, and this stuff was kind of neat because it was digital. Then it would get milled out with this thing called a CNC machine, and it was the precursor to 3D printing.
Right.
And so now there's 3D printing, but before that you had like this. It was like a block of looked kind of like clay, and it's like buzzing through.
Okay.
So 3D printing isn't like that new.
Yes, 3D printing is the additive form of sculpture, and this was the reductive form of sculpture.
Yeah, I hadn't
carving
thought about
away.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty
chip,
sweet.
chip, chip, chip. Yeah, you can use that.
Yeah, I will use that. Yeah. And then after that, I worked at SCAD, Savannah College of Art and Design, for a bunch of years.
Yeah.
And this is the stuff I'm working on now. And this is the Quest 2, and it's a digital headset. And it's kind of like having a mobile phone on your head. So you put it like this, and then you have controllers over here. And so the next thing I'm working on is it's edutainment. I don't know if they still use that word, but it's
I've
like,
heard it, but it's, yeah.
it's like education plus entertainment, and you kind of combine it. So working on a presentation to combat global warming. And it's for younger students, so we're trying to make the graphics look as good as they can because they're used to younger, audience games,
Right.
like something off of Steam.
Yeah. Now, in creating those digital worlds, are you going to specific places or different types of ecosystems, or?
Yeah, this one's in St. Augustine, Florida, so you get to take a tour of St. Augustine, which is definitely in harm's way when it comes to global warming and sea level rise.
Yeah, I don't think the fort, while it's lasted a long time, it's not going to hold out against a 3-foot rise in ocean levels.
Definitely not. Yeah, so that's cool stuff. And one thing, there's an ACRE program, which is, what does that stand for?
The Albright Creative Research Experience.
Yeah, so we're kind of combine this with fashion design and have digital characters walk a digital runway wearing cool Albright fashions. So I'm looking forward to that.
I think that's a great idea. As you know, our fashion department has been to New York City for the last 2 falls, and it's a major that attracts a lot of students. And I think certainly in the whole field of design, digital capacity matters so much. I mean, there's not a substitute for stretching fabric and draping fabric on a form, but in terms of exploring the possibilities of new looks and different colors, different textiles, digitally you can do an awful lot without having to buy cloth or cut it.
Yeah, and you can iterate faster, so you can test things out quicker. And a big thing, nobody really knows who it is, but like the metaverse, it's like Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook, now Meta, talks about the metaverse. And so when that gets more developed, if anybody really knows who it is, then you could have your fashion shows on the metaverse. And you could direct them yourself. So I think the real-time aspect's pretty cool.
Yeah, so a fashion designer could create his models, her models, drape them, dress them, and move them around in almost a 3D kind of perception.
Yeah, because you put on your headset and you're in virtual reality. And I think that virtual reality is actually better than actual reality. Because in actual reality, things are coming at you, but in virtual reality, you can decide what you want to happen. So it's actually an improvement. Yeah, could be.
Yeah, well,
Depends on how you look at it.
I think that's something to think about. I mean, certainly the nature of reality is up for grabs. Certainly political reality is a world of fiction these days. Yeah, what about that? You're working with students who are 18, 19 years old, who have inhabited a world of virtual reality for, much of their life, right? Mm-hmm. So they're absolutely native to that kind of ecosystem, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm trying to keep up with them. Sometimes I'm one step ahead of the students when it comes to tech. It's just the way it is. Like, when it comes to tech, everything's an emerging technology, and it doesn't matter what it is. You have to keep. You can never get stale, otherwise, it just things never work out. But like what I'm doing, it started out with 3D and then flat games, and now it's going into virtual reality. So I don't know what the next step is. I know that Apple's got some glasses coming on where it's easy on, easy off. Mm-hmm. The problem with this headset is that like it affects like lashes, it affects skin care, and
oh yeah.
Some people, you put it on, they don't want to, they take it off immediately, and some people, like, you get a guy like sweating in it and stuff, and he's like sweating for 45 minutes, and then it's like, hey, you want some VR?
You want to try my? No, I don't think so.
No, you keep that VR. Yeah. So I'm waiting for the Apple glasses. You can, put them on and off.
Something a little lighter, less claustrophobic. Yeah. Also, you can't drive a car while wearing those.
Yeah, which is ironic because you can drive a car wearing glasses, but not VR glasses.
Right. Yeah.
Like the VR glasses should be what you're wearing.
Yeah,
just with the VR, easy on, easy off.
Yeah,
that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, you mentioned the whole idea of technological innovation and the pace of it. I think that's true of every field we teach at Albright College, that we know better, we know differently, or we're moving into different paradigms for understanding our fields. But computer science, the pace is just breathtaking. And you could become your knowledge or what you knew that was cutting edge 1 year and 5 years could be really passé.
So, yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, like some of the stuff, like this kind of thing isn't done anymore. It's now doing 3D printing, but I still think the concepts are all the same. You might remember programming in BASIC or COBOL or Pascal. Mm-hmm. I know those are all like training languages, but they kind of morphed into Python and C# and C++. So the principles are always there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you do. It is. You have to learn new stuff to replace the old stuff, and yeah, it's always kind of a hectic thing. Like I'm doing a Python class, my first semester here, CSC 141, usually taught by Brian Kell. And I'm taking that over for this semester, and I have to stay one step ahead of the students because this stuff is pretty robust. Mm-hmm. And next semester I'm doing Java, and we're going to write some apps for the phone, either Android or iPhone. If they want to use their iPhone, they would have to code in Swift. But so that's a new thing for me. Like I've got to keep updating as well, just like anybody else. But the new game and sim department, so Mark Baldridge does some of that, and we're learning Unreal, which is like the first-person shooter gaming engine.
Okay.
Whereas for this, I'm using an app called Unity, which is made for mobile and Android, but Unreal is for first-person shooters. So it's like a ton of stuff coming at us, and we just have to do the best we can. But yeah, it's like I'd like to know more than I do, but nobody can know everything. It's impossible.
Right.
Maybe Leonardo da Vinci could have done everything. Because remember, he could write, he could paint, he could draw. He's a scholar. But that was
composed music, wrote poetry.
Yeah. the thing is, wasn't that like 1500s?
The end of the 15th or beginning of the 16th century. Yeah.
All right, so 1590.
Yeah, 1470 to 1520 or so.
Okay, and but see, there were no computers back then.
No, there were not.
So how could he have coded like COBOL, Pascal, then moved to Python? See, that wasn't available to him. That's
I
why
wonder
he could
too
do
whether
everything.
he would have had the patience to do all that behind the scenes coding. He was a genius, and things came pretty easily to him. Right? Vasari said that he became, after just a few weeks of study, he became a master of whatever he turned his mind to. But then he got bored, and there are plenty of paintings that he never finished painting because he didn't really care to complete them. So I think he would have been fascinated by this, whether he would have come up with, you know, a shark with a diver in it or not, I don't know.
Well, if he didn't, he should have, because it's a fun thing, the Russian nesting doll toy.
I think if I were a kid again, I would have one of those.
Yeah, like, I think we're descendants of Leonardo because like everything comes easy to us too. We're scholars and athletes.
There we go.
And philanthropists. Like we're giving to the audience, showing this powerful stuff here that we are harnessing and trying to take charge of.
Yeah. Well, I know that a number of your first-year students are really enjoying your classes. How do you find Albright students, and what kinds of curiosities do they have about the digital world and virtual reality?
I'll tell you one thing. When some high school students come and they're thinking about Albright, and I'm like, what games have you worked on? They're like, oh, I just mod everything. So everybody, like a Minecraft, you might add your own graphics, or Super Mario, you add your own graphics. Everybody mods things now.
Okay, makes it their own, puts their own stamp on it in terms of altering the imagery and...
Yeah, their own music. So everybody's modding, and that's what, it's like no matter if you're a coder or not, everybody knows how to mod something. And I thought that's an expression of creativity. Whether you're a programmer or an artist, you still, it's still like a digital footprint you've got. I think the students are great. I love them. I came from Florida A&M, and I love the students there, and I found out the students here are the same level of dedication, just push it even further. So I'm excited about being here, and I look forward to seeing what the students come up with.
Great.
And how far I can push them, you know, because there's like, you have students who are beginners, and it's my job to get them all the way to the end of the class knowing that they could do much more. Like it's not about passing or failing, it's about maxing out your total ability.
And now preparing you for future endeavors.
Yeah, for sure. And also for top students that really have coding experience before that, it's my job to match their intensity and be a coach for them. Because some of them are going to know more than I do. But it's kind of like, you know, the Lakers, this is kind of an old school reference, but Phil Jackson was a great coach, but
the great Zen basketball coach.
Yeah, and he's not going to play as well as Michael Jordan. So for the top students, you have to match the intensity and be the coach. And one thing we do is, which is kind of fun, like I'm in science lecture hall, and I have the students come up and bring their work. So they bring their laptop, plug it at the teacher station, put it in HDMI, and then they show their work. It's one of the most fun parts of the whole class.
Great, so deeply participatory.
Yeah.
With really prepared students.
Yeah, because they're dedicated. They love showing their stuff. I love seeing it too.
Yeah.
Because, you know, coding could be, it could be dry, but we try to make it as fun as possible.
Sure, sure. Yeah. Does it make a difference that your department and your courses happen in the context of a liberal arts college, where students could be taking a philosophy course and a literature course, or a course in basic biology or physics? Does that enrich what they're able to do as digital creators?
I think it's great to have like the education of different areas. For instance, like in computer science, I noticed that a lot of people, a lot of students haven't actually done much programming, but they've done a lot of other things, which is really neat. And so they're still new at programming, but if you combine the synergy of other majors and other areas of interest, you could really put that into your own work. Like, what was it, Beth Kieser's class, Star Wars? I have a lot
her FYS, yeah.
Yeah, first year seminar. I always like the conspiracy theory one. Like just to detour a second, the only theory I believe that could be a conspiracy is landing on the moon in 1969. I don't know, maybe they had somebody in a studio lot with a moon suit on, pulling them up and down on a bungee cord. Because how are you supposed to get there in 1969? Hey, maybe it's true, but
I'm pretty sure Neil Armstrong's from Ohio. As am I, and so I just trust him.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
And besides, I saw it on television with Walter Cronkite.
You saw it?
Well, on TV.
Wow.
I wasn't on the moon, but
See, I was a little young for that. Yeah, I never saw it on TV, but sounds cool to me.
Yeah, it was. It was pretty cool, and it was really, really fuzzy television. Right, it was a little bit
black and white,
like watching it on Zoom. Yeah.
I remember watching it on TV, and then everything went static after 11 p.m. or something like that.
Oh yeah, with the test pattern.
Yeah, like the color bar test pattern then went static, and then I had to have been like 7. I'm 51 now, and maybe like 1976. Yeah, you had the test pattern.
Yeah.
But yeah, students are great. I love them, and I'm here to make them the best programmers they can be. Now, some people have more ability than others. They have more experience, but you've got to just do the maximum you can be, because it kind of reminds me of, there was an Overwatch, Overwatch, the esports, there's a new center coming up, and Albright was playing on October 5th, and the other team forfeited. They forfeited. And so how does that feel if you're the Albright team, you didn't even have to compete for your victory?
Yeah.
So what that means to me is, like, if you're an expert programmer, you turn in something that's not the most you could do, you're not going to feel good about it.
No.
But if you turn the best work in, if you're an expert, it's going to look amazing. And if you're a beginner, you turn in the best of your level. It doesn't mean they're going to be the same, like experience level, but as long as they're doing the right thing for themselves.
And the main trajectory is one of growth and expanding capacity and understanding. And I'll tell you, that's the biggest satisfaction in my job. Watch someone come in as an 18-year-old or a 19-year-old and see the way in which they mature and which they become even more interesting people as those 4 years go by. So you have that to look forward to. Your first-year students now, 4 years from now, when they're seniors and graduating and going out into the world, you'll say, yeah,
we made that happen.
Yep. Well, I think that's probably the moral of the story that we'll end with now, that whatever field we're in, fast-moving or slow-moving, the student accomplishments provide enormous satisfaction. And I love the way that you're interacting with what they can do now and what they'll be able to do in the future.
Yeah, I totally agree. And thanks for inviting me on the Albright Scholar. I feel more intelligent already just being here.
Wonderful.
And I know it's late, and I can tell that you're the last and best thing here. So I guess I hope you enjoy everything. And
great. Well, having survived, we'll get some of your other colleagues on the show in future months ahead. So thank you, Dave.
All right.
And thanks to all of you as well for watching tonight's really fascinating episode. We'll join you again in the month of November for another edition of The Albright Scholar. So long.